Let's Talk Tunneling is produced by XRJV and proudly sponsored by DC Adams Group, Why Safety Matters.
So you said you're a shift boss. So was that your first shift bossing job though? Because you never really mentioned it prior to the other ones, or you just didn't want to say it?
Nah, I didn't talk about who wants to be the shift boss, and they were just going to me by Oxford, you know.
Yeah.
No, that'll be, might have been about my third, fourth one.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And then you came back to Sydney on the M2. The upgrade. What was that all about?
Well, that was on the, when Peabody went through on that M2.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was a bit too small, so they ended up putting another extra lane in there. So we ended up going back there and cut a bit of the wall out on the sides of the tunnels. So that there was, I was only there for, lucky to be 6 months, because obviously I had a partner from the Philippines, and she was pregnant, ready to have our baby, so I couldn't get her into Australia. So I only lasted there for 6 months. I had to go back overseas and work.
Wow. So then you went back to Hong Kong.
Went to Hong Kong after that. Yep. And spent a couple of years up there, about 3 years, on a drill and blast job right in the city. And quite enjoyed it. Loved it up there. Yeah. I'll go back to that place any day.
Yeah. What was the attraction? Just the work, or the place in general, or the town that you lived in?
Yeah, no, I had everything there, yeah. Attraction. Well, the main thing was to get close to my partner, and we just had our babies there. Yeah, obviously I got 3 kids, triplets, so not recommended, eh?
You don't muck around.
Yeah. Well, I got a lot of catching up compared to the old cuz. One's got 8, and you know who that is, eh?
Oh, he's a machine. Well, both, the whole family is, yeah. So then you did a short stint at Northwest Metro Rail Link.
Yeah, after I came back from Hong Kong, when my contract finished, I came back again, and that's when I tried to get my partner in. We were married at that time, but yeah, immigration's pretty hard. Australia immigration, but yeah, fair enough. So I think I only spent another 3 or 4 months there. And that was with Steve Taraki there, but at the Epping site there. Mm-hmm. Obviously, where the TBMs break through, and I think we had to do 2 little drives to sort of marry it onto the railway tracks for the Epping station there. They had to do those little sections there. So yeah, I only done a couple of months there due to family reasons.
And then you headed over to India. So I've sort of put a bit of an asterisk next to this, just so I can ask you a few questions about it. So what was that job? What was that job all about? And what did you have to do there? And how'd you go in India?
That one would be one of the most challenging projects I've been on. It had everything. I mean everything. And obviously, I've ended up being the superintendent on this. I had 3 sites. And it's up in a place called Jammu Kashmir, which is up on the northern part of India. So you have a look on the world map there, India sort of goes up and sort of goes up a bit of a V there. So it's sort of right up the northern part. So one side is Pakistan. On the other tip of it is Afghanistan, and the other side is China. And we're up in the Himalayas, up in the mountains there. And you're just on the border of high altitude. So you had that challenge there on adjusting on the high altitude. But yeah, obviously that was a drill and blast job. And yeah, very, very challenging. And I was the only expat up there, the only foreigner up there. I might look like an Indian, but yeah, I was the only foreigner up there, which I did not know.
Yeah.
So when I got up there, and I said, "Oh, so where's the rest of the
bros?
foreigners?" You're the only one, sir. And I said, "No, fuck, that's great."
What so righto, this is good then, because how did you go communicating, or was it they spoke English obviously, or what's the go there?
Well, the ones that I had to work with obviously was with the engineers and all that stuff. Well, they speak English. India was run by the Englishmen the first 100 years, and they do speak English. But so that wasn't too bad. But you're working with the actual locals or communicating with the actual locals, the labourers. Well, that was another ball game, that one. So you had your crews and that. You had your foremans and all that, where they speak English. So they do all the communicating. You sort of just didn't really, talk with them whilst they don't understand you. Yeah. But yeah, the ground conditions, the environment, oh, geez, you had everything there. The location.
So you stuck it out though, eh? Like 2 years. So why? Just the challenge, or?
I actually didn't mind it, Yeah, it was just part of these challenge on these ground conditions. And he's a Māori boy from the East Coast. He's stuck up in the Himalayas digging a tunnel, which is pretty well unheard of, I suppose. It's another tick the box. Yeah, so I suppose you wouldn't get too many Māori boys, from the East Coast that's gone up there. And they actually still digging those tunnels, actually, because
so right,
environment.
Yeah, this will be interesting to hear, if you can, please, if you want to. So method was, what did you say, drill and blast? So you've got jumbos, or was it handheld, or
no,
and then what?
All jumbos. Well, they call it NATM method, which is their new Austrian tunnelling method. But say down our ways, it's soft ground tunnelling. So you had to put like canopy tubes or four-poling, which they call it. Yeah, because the ground was just so unpredictable. So you blast, then you put up ladder girders, then you put your like spiling bars or canopy tubes, depends what the ground will change just like a light switch. So you had to be prepared with all your, your support you had on site. And we just couldn't go down the road and go to a warehouse and ask them to make it. We had to manufacture it all ourselves. So the company had all the steel and that, so designers will say, yeah, make these up. So you had all these boiler makers making this, making that. Yeah. Even for our own concrete and that, we had a river running through the not middle of the site, but along the site. So we ended up setting up a big crushing plant to make our own cement. Well, not cement, all our sand and all our 10 mil gravels, 20 mils for our shotcrete, for our concrete. We had all crushing plants, everything. And we had all shotcrete plants all right beside our tunnels there. And some of our locations there were like big drop-offs. Like you see on those, most dangerous truck drivers in the world when they're driving along those mountains. Well, we were like that.
Wow.
And we have a big silos for the cement. And you couldn't get semi-trailers up there. You got the big cement semis with the cement in there. They load the cement into the silos. We never had those. They used to come up in the pallets. So the boys had to load those big cement silos by hand from the pallets of cement.
Wow.
And they done it.
Yeah.
They never complained. I give them those. Working overseas, those fellas just did not complain. And they got paid shit money.
Yeah.
I mean shit money. They'd be lucky to get $1,000 a month in their hand, like Australian dollars. Seen one? Very challenging. Had everything, like I said. Yeah.
So from that job though, you ended up coming back to Australia again and ended up on the WestConnex. That's that new M5, eh? And I remember running into you because I had started Why Safety Matters by then and was sort of kicking it off. It was early days then. I remember being very, very emotional. And like I said earlier when we spoke before this podcast, I went looking for fellas like you as not so much saviours, but guys I could relate to. And like you said, with losing your old man when you were working in the industry and knowing that. So, we spent quite a few hours together, on that project. And I did my talks there, but I still had time or you had time for me afterwards to have good talks. And I think what I liked about that too, Landis, and I'll say it to you now, was how you took me back. You gave me, your memorabilia and all that suitcase with all those photos and all that. And it was really nice to know where we had come from, our origins in tunneling. And, the stuff that I'm doing now is because of those origins and what you showed to me in that suitcase was special. And I'll treasure it for as long as I live with what you did for me there. But if we can talk about that new M5, please, and just your take on that.
That was a good job, We had good management. Our superintendent, he was a good man. Steve Taraki, well organised, very well organised. That was a big scale job, and we done pretty well good there. Down our section anyway, St. Peter's. But it was a good job, Like I said, my crew, the crew that I had there, I was quite lucky. I had some good people around me. And I would have been buggered without those guys. And that's where when you end up coming up into these management or supervisors roles, these are the things you got to look at as your men. It's not the actual, your supervisor or your ship boss that makes the crew. It's the actual crew. They're the ones that make you look good. And that's one thing I've learned. You got to be, not hard on your men. You got to be fair with them. And that's where I've been taught that from, different people. You got to keep that balance. But if you have good men, then hopefully everything goes all right. You'll have your moments, you have a few hiccups. Yeah. But no, that was a really well-ran job, that one.
Right. And then you did a short stint at the Metro before coming to the WestConnex, where I caught up with you again and we had a good talk, and we went out just before you shot back home to the city rolling job where you're now. So just a quick brief, and I want to thank you again for coming on. But just the fact that you've talked about jobs from when you first started, 89, to the jobs now, and I suppose the question for you now is to what's changed, and what do you take out of these jobs now, especially the ones here in Australia? You haven't really kicked into gear over there in Auckland yet, but the last, say, the WestConnex, the Metros, what's your take on these jobs now, this time, this generation that's coming in, because it's a massive wave coming into this industry now, eh? Is there anything you could share with us in that respect?
Yeah, with the amount of work coming on now, it's just crazy, trying to find the people, I think you won't have no shortages. It's just getting the right people, eh? And obviously it gives opportunities for new people to come into our industry. Some of them will take it aboard. And some of them, like I said before, saying of mine, if you're a dog, you'll shoot it. So, yeah, it's just a lot of work, man. I don't know, maybe they need to set up like a training school. If they know all this work's coming up, maybe companies need to put in place a proper training school. I think it's easy to talk about it now, but putting it in place obviously is another thing. You know, where are you going to get the budget and all that from? Yeah. But yeah, the Metro was a good job too. Obviously, that was a TBM job. Yeah. They done pretty well there, apparently, on that one. But yeah, I don't know what the answer will be, Dallas. You know, trying to they set up some form of a mining school or something, or go to the TAFE. We done that trainer and assessors course, and when they're going through their course, they had nothing on tunneling. You know, they got all these other industries. They got, you know, different training devices for them, but there's nothing in tunneling. You got construction and all that stuff, but yeah, nothing in tunneling, which is quite funny, eh?
Yeah. But like I'm passionate about training now, and you know, the direction I'm going with people like yourself is getting an understanding. And even if there isn't a training school, getting the right, well, they call it units of competency or training material to be able to deliver to a tunneling organisation or even a project. And I suppose the thing about us and what I've learned over the last couple of years of trying to get into that space is exactly what you said, money. You know, like even doing this costs me money. So I can only imagine an organisation that's going to employ thousands of people in and trying to get them trained. But if they had that concept or that train of thought of putting it into the budget when they do tender for these jobs, and like, we're only tunnellers, mate, as you know, and we only think because we know the benefit of it. But it's so good to hear that people like yourself, and there's been a couple of other guys too that have come on and they've talked about, say, a facility and something like that. And I've been, I don't know, trying my hardest to do something, but it's great to have that support and know very well that you guys think of this, are thinking the same. So with that in mind, why would it be a benefit to have, say, a training school and an academy, do you think, Landis?
Well, you can make a good industry. You can make a good career out of our industry, eh? You know, it's a proven track, you know. Look where some of the people that we've known in our game, where they've been. You know, you started from the bottom, you go right to the top, you know, it's unlimited. If they have that in place, you know, you could go a long way. Yeah. Training, you know, maybe the companies need to get together, even though they compete against each other, you know, the John Hollands, the Liam Leases, you know, the CPB, maybe they get together and put a bit of funding together, who knows, and share the love, you know, share the budget and make it together.
Yeah.
It could be an idea, but like we said, we're only tunnellers, eh?
Want to? If not, we'll just get on to the next one. But one of them is why tunnelling and what interests you about it?
Well, obviously it's in the blood, eh, Dallas? You know, came down from my father. Yeah, you sort of amazed of what it's, you know, a lot of people really can't understand what it's like underground, you know, and explain it unless, you know, you take them down there until they've been in there themselves and they go, wow, man, it's like another world, eh? So, yeah, I say it's in my DNA, Dallas, you know, it's just been what I've gone through since I was a kid. And it's a good industry. Yeah, I love it. I enjoy it. But obviously, we're getting a little bit older now, so we haven't got too much time left. But you still want to stay in the industry in some form. And saying that, you still want to be like maybe an inspector or consultant. So, be, you know, different when you leave the industry. Eh? You sort of, you know, you'll get bored after a while. You sort of, it draws you back. Like I used to have a break and you sort of, man, I wish I was back underground.
And you love it. But yeah, that's awesome. So some of the things people need to know about tunneling, now you've covered heaps, but if you're wanting to get into tunneling, you applied for a job because you weren't doing anything else, or one of your mates might have heard, or something like that. Anyway, you're new. What's something you need to know about tunneling that you could tell them, Landis?
Be careful, eh? Really look after yourself and obviously your workmates, because they're underground, she can turn on you pretty quick. Been on two projects where we've lost good friends. So yeah, just be careful, look after your workmates, and obviously look after yourself too, eh? With this, wearing these dust masks, the silicosis. I'm quite lucky I haven't got that silicosis, but I know quite a few people that do have it. And I get asked that question, how the hell you get away with it? Working up on this face for all those years. My answer is, well, you got to sleep with your mouth closed.
Breathe through your nose.
Yeah, lucky. Again, you have a variety of, that's where, go out and venture out, and getting stuck on road headers, go and do a bit of drill and blast, go and do a bit of TBMs. Get that variety, experience our industry. And travel, you can go traveling in there. And keep that balance, while you got to be there for your family. That's another thing I was taught from my father, to have a balance, your family. And that's one thing we always used to go home. We never talked about work when we were at home.
Yeah.
Once you left the gate, boom, switch it off.
Wow.
Yeah, man, when he's saying there, our first job there, I got stitched up from the cousins there. I walked past this fan, and my helmet got sucked off my head. And back then, the guards went on the fans. Well, obviously the fan, the helmet got destroyed plus the fan. And the old man just went off his head because they lost ventilation for the radiator. So, and he goes, don't you go home and tell your mother this, all right? So, obviously, yeah. Yeah, went off his rocket. So, keep that balance, bro. When it's time to go to work, go to work. And when it's time to get out, switch it off. Have that balance.
Well, that's probably answered my next one, which was, how do you stay focused? And is there a driving force that keeps you in the game? Like, you've worked on plenty of jobs all over the world, and you're still in the game. That driving force, is there something that drives you to get up in the morning and go to work? What's it for you now?
Well, I'm at that stage now, I like to pass my knowledge on to the young ones, and that was one of the reasons why I came back to the Auckland job. I was made contact with this, with a lady, her name is Nancy McConnell, and she wanted Māoris to come back and try and look after our people, especially the young ones. She's a Pākehā lady, and she was kōrero Māori to me, and I was quite blown away, which, I've only little bit said it, and it's quite a shame. So, yeah, so I'm at that stage where, I'm willing to pass what I've been through and give them, a taste of what I've been through. And I always keep telling them, oh, there's a career in our industry, You really stick at it, but you still got to do the hard yards, eh? Still got to, head down, ass up. You never know what happens after that. Make a name for yourself. And look after yourself too.
Awesome, bro. Awesome. Well, if you had some advice that you could have given yourself, probably to strap your helmet down when you walk past a fan, but if you had a piece of paper, 30 years on, like today, and you wrote down something that you could have sent back 30 years that young fella that left TA, started on his first job, and you just before he went to the induction, popped up in his letterbox, and he went out to read it. What would be there? What would be on that piece of paper, you reckon, for you?
Oh, that's a good question, that one. Obviously, save your money back in those days. A lot of it went out, not in the right places, obviously. But yeah, save your money. Like I said, yeah, look after yourself, which is, yeah, it gets harder and harder when we get older. Work smarter.
Awesome. Bro, this is a question that I wrote, and we have talked. And like I said to you, when I came to the M5, and knowing full well that you were going to be at one of my talks, and I spent not only that day there, or that hour or two doing that talk, I spent many a night with you, sitting in your office and talking to you about things. In 2019, you had a bit of a tough year when it comes to loss. And I suppose, like I said, I searched for people like yourself that had lost someone in the industry or lost your father. I suppose this question sort of goes along the lines of going through tough times in your life. And, you've experienced loss before, with your sister as well in 2019. Are you able to share with us what helps you get through, those bad times? And is there help that you recommend?
Yeah, going through that rough time last year, Dallas, we're still going through it. Yeah, that one there, I think it'll be an ongoing for a while. Losing my sister was really, really hard on the family. And like I said, it still is. I did go and seek help, with this depression and mental health. Coming back to New Zealand, because we brought it back to New Zealand all the way from London. And so being back home, yes, it helps a bit. And being with the family back here is good too. So and talk about it, talk about all these hard times. It's no matter how, you think you're a hard man, but it buckles everybody, Yeah, big thing is to talk about it, be open. Don't be ashamed of it, I reckon. Yeah, because especially in our younger, especially like now with the younger age and that, So, even at work and if people have a hard time, you still got to make sure, just ask that question. Are you okay? I don't care if they laugh about it. It's just what life's like these days. There's so much pressure now on these young ones, So they turn to the drugs or whatever. Who knows? Yeah. And that's why one of the reasons why that Nancy McConnell asks us to come back and sort of try and get these young ones, because New Zealand is pretty bad with all these young ones, getting tied up with drugs, and give them, try and give them some hope and direction, hopefully mentoring. So, yeah.
You only just something that I suppose if we can see guys like yourself and the frontline leaders, and that's why I'm so thankful that you shared that bit with us. I don't know how we can do it, but I'm just hoping that people can jump on board and share their experiences in some way that can help others. And I've got the platform, hopefully, with this Let's Talk Tunneling platform, that we can have that chance to do it. So, but thank you, bro. Thank you for what you shared there.
It's with aspects too. So, yeah, no, it's been a pleasure, bro.
Awesome. Well, I'll sign us off there. And yeah, like I said, thanks again. All right. But I just want to say, if anyone else wants to come on Let's Talk Tunneling, please get a hold of me through info.letstalktunneling@gmail.com. Any questions? Like I said, I had questions for Landis. I've got some very experienced guys, very similar to Landis, coming on Let's Talk Tunneling. I've got a man coming up tomorrow, 49 years. 49 years in this industry and still in it. So I'm podcasting him tomorrow. I've got a few questions already. So yeah, please get a hold of me. Let me know a little bit about you so I can get some questions and we can refer it to them as well. Bro, all the best, eh? And that's another episode of Let's Talk Tunneling. Till next time, man. I'll catch up with you soon.